Many blessings, my loves. My name is Rebecca, and this is my new moon report for Pillars of the Moon. So, welcome everyone. How have you all been? I hope that the seasonal time is magical for you all. Yeah, I've had lots of family time and just doing lots of nice time in nature and things. So, it's been really nice to have some time out. Um, I'm really excited to jump into this new cycle ahead of us. So let's have a look. So this is some art that I've been working on. You'll see that I've updated my logo as well. Yes, so we've got our new moon, which will be in Sagittarius in the life sky astrology that I use. Um, it will be right near the end of Sagittarius, quite on the cusp, so and quite close to Pluto as well. So that will be on the 11th of January at 11:57. Um, so yeah, that's the new moon. And then the first quarter moon will be in Pisces on the 18th of January. And then the sun moves into Capricorn on the 19th of January. We have our full moon in Cancer with the beehive cluster, and also at Ashleisha, the lunar mansion that's at the head of the Hydra serpent. It's a really big full moon coming up on the 25th of January. Um, then we've got on the next day, Uranus retrograde ends. And then the last quarter moon will be in Libra on the 2nd of the 2nd. And then we have our astronomical Imbolc, which is the exact midpoint between the winter solstice or the summer solstice, depending where you are, and the spring or autumn equinox. So a cross quarter day is the day that's in between the solstice or the equinox. It's the exact midpoint. So in the Celtic or the pagan calendar, these cross quarter days are really important anchor points and part of the yearly map, really, of the year. So astronomical Imbolc is the 4th of February. And yeah, so we will be celebrating in the Northern Hemisphere, here where I live. It's the first stirrings of spring. And so it's like the seeds that are in the soil in the dark of the winter of the womb, they just start to wake up. And it's that real beginning of the new life coming up from the dark of the winter. So really beautiful time to be connecting to um, Bridget Anna Brigantier. She is Bridie. She's the one that we connect to the Imbolc energy. So yeah, it's the young Bridie or the young Bridget that lights the flame for the new seeds to come up into the light of the spring equinox, which will be 6 weeks later. And so those of you who are in the southern hemisphere, you will be in your Lammas energy, which is the harvest. So you're coming to the culmination of the summer and you're gathering all of the wisdom of the year and the harvest and starting to make things with them. And it's about abundance and starting to gather in all of the abundance of the year. It's a really warm time, lots of connections and community. So yeah, it's like at the northern hemisphere, we're just beginning. It's like so like still in the womb of the winter, we're like the hares or the rabbits that are just like, oh, shall we start to like get out there and you know yeah, there's often quite a lot of like buds coming up and beautiful little snowdrop flowers. We might get a few daffodils, you never know. Like there's always some early sprouters who come around this time. So it's also a very vulnerable time in the north because it's like, like it's just before we're being born. So it can feel like this, yeah, real vulnerability in that birthing time, about like we're about to embark on a new cycle out in the light of the spring, and how has the winter been for us. We might be really cozy in our nests, you know. So, and also the energy of Imbolc is really the energy of ascending. It's like the seed has to come up through the soil, right? So it's quite a cardinal energy, quite growing energy, which the Capricorn energy serves really well for, you know, because once we come out of the mutable sign of Sagittarius, the cardinal energy of Capricorn is really that pushing up energy of the masculine cardinal force to, yeah, begin a new cycle out in the light of the world. Yeah, without the Capricorn ambition and the push of the goat that can climb great heights, you know, it's quite an enduring energy, the Capricorn energy. So this time of year, you know, we're still in the womb of the winter here in the north, and we could be exploring the cosmos and the mutable quest of our visions and our ideas. And yeah, it's the visionary and the quest of the cosmos, you know. So when we're in this space, you know, that anything is possible. You know, it reminds me of the Fool card in the tarot. It's that new beginning where it's like the dream hasn't come the reality yet, and you can actually, it's still forming, you know, and that's because it's forming in our dreams and in our visions. So this is the amazing power of the Sagittarian energy. It's dreaming and visioning, like, and questing beyond all known limits, like, what is my truth, what do I believe? And then when we come into the Capricorn portal, the period of time that we are working with the Capricorn energy, you know, it's actually saying, okay, so I voyaged out into these unknown parts of myself with the Sagittarian energy. It's like the Saggy energy is like the explorer. So you can imagine you've gone off on this quest of truth. Who am I? What do I believe? You might have found yourself in an ashram somewhere, or you've gone to a different country, or you've explored something new spiritually, and you've grown and expanded into this new version of ourselves. And then the Capricorn energy comes in, and it's like, okay, so now I have to mature. You know, it's like the traveler that has to actually take action to mature and find responsible ways of building new structures that are in alignment with their true values and beliefs. So this is how the progression of it comes, you know, with the Sagittarius into Capricorn energy. It's like, okay, so you know your truth, you've found your vision, you've really discovered new parts of yourself. So now it's taking the cardinal steps to start to build and be responsible and mature into this new form. So it's bringing all of that wisdom from the Sagittarian time, you know, the rebirth of the sun kind of crossing over the galactic center, and all of the things that have really come into clarity for us around this time, to then by the 19th of January really start to be that cardinal force that's going to rise the seeds up into the light. So from the dark, from the discovery inside of the womb, you know, to use the Capricorn energy to help us, because it's so like, it's like the goat that can climb up the mountain, right? It's got great power, and it can go through icy terrains, and you see the goats hanging off the mountain, you know, and rocks in the way. You can imagine a seed coming up through the soil, you know, it's cold, it's icy, it might still be winter out there, and there's rocks to come round, and you know, so this is the energy of like the Saggy Capricorn cusp, which I'm just wanting to go into now, because it's also where Pluto is in the sky right now. Pluto is right on the edge of Saggy and Capricorn. So he's making his journey into the stars of Capricorn right now, you know. And because he is, you know, so slow moving, and because it's a process that's going to be, it's a general process of transition as Pluto is journeying into these Capricorn stars. So yeah, Pluto will be in Capricorn for a really long time. Yeah, so it won't be moving into Aquarius until 2043. So that's a pretty long time, 19 years I've got written down here. Um, yeah, and this is a pretty big subject, to talk about Pluto's journey into Capricorn. I could probably do a whole video on that. Um, but the last time Pluto was in Capricorn, we had the American Revolution, the war, and the independence. There was, I've been spending a long time, probably too long, looking over the years when Pluto was in Capricorn last time and what happened. I've written some notes about, yeah, Spain declaring war on Britain, the Battle of Granada. There was great hurricanes in the Caribbean, lots of volcanoes going off, lots of, yeah, earthquakes. Um, I also noted as well that, during the time that Pluto was in Capricorn last time, um, there was lots of foundations and things laid. For example, there was lots of universities and some of I think it was the cornerstone of the United States, which became the White House. The building of the White House began around that time. Um, yeah, there was a volcano in Iceland that erupted, the French Revolution, lots of stuff happening. There was a peace treaty signed with the UK and France in 1783. So when I'm looking at it all, I was just like, wow, it's like lots of changes in power, lots of changes within countries, within leadership. There's lots of battles, but there's also lots of eruptions happening and changes happening in the earth with the volcanoes and the earthquakes and all of the hurricanes. So that we can see through the journey of Pluto and Capricorn before, there was lots of changes happened. So over the next 19 years, as Pluto goes through Capricorn, I imagine we can expect changes again within power, within our structures and our systems. There may be new structures being built and old ones being destroyed or taken down. So it's a really powerful energy, Pluto in Capricorn. And we can see last time, lots of power battles of like ownership over things and very kind of like hierarchical, like I'm the leader of this country and like taking over. I think I wrote down as well, it was the first time that England took ships to Australia. So it was lots about countries and ownership and power, from what I can see from looking into it. So it's going to be an interesting 19 years, that's for sure. And of course, we're already seeing, with the current world, what's happening, like there is a lot being stirred up and being brought up to the surface for us collectively. Yeah. So I'm going to stop sharing this screen that we're on now and let's go over into the live sky. That's the chart I've got here. This is the new moon Sagittarius chart. So let's just look at this first as it's come up first. So this is obviously, like I was just saying, Capricorn and Sagittarius here. So you can see the sun and the moon, 24 degrees of Sagittarius. I've got Pluto coming up at the end of Sagittarius here, and you can see he's right on the cusp here. Look. So he's moving, he's changing, he's evolving. Yeah. So he's also at the time of the new moon is in T-square to the nodal axis, the nodes of the moon. We can expect with a new moon cycle that is starting with Pluto conjunct it, joined with it, it's going to be a very deep and transformative cycle. I would say that, it's going to take us into a really shamanic and transformative state. And when, we've got the T-square to the nodes of the moon, it's a really deep inner transformation to do with our past and our karma and all of the things that we are letting go of, and a real shift towards the future and what we're moving towards with the North Node. So the tension of the T-square, it's going to bring really deep changes within ourselves, and could also be bringing to the surface, with Chiron and the North Node, and also dwarf planet Eris, which is with the North Node as well. It's bringing in this energy of healing towards our collective future, and really looking at and witnessing and facing the darkness in our collective. And Pluto T-squaring it is like bringing a real shift and challenge to do with our beliefs and our really kind of, it's calling us into our soul. So Pluto is connected to our soul. So when we're looking at him T-squaring the nose, it feels like our collective soul, our collective destiny, and how we as a collective really need to transmute some of these really old patterns. As he moves into Capricorn, there's going to be really big shifts coming in to our consciousness. Capricorn as well is going to be having a visit from Venus and Mars. So Venus and Mars, if you remember, were in conjunction last year in June, and they met at Ashleisha, which is the head of the Hydra serpent. They had their union there in June, and they was also together at Regulus, the heart of the lion. This full moon will be happening in Cancer at Ashleisha, the Hydra serpent head here. So, and the beehive cluster. So this cycle feels like it has a really strong influence, from that cycle that started with Venus and Mars last June. Venus is also in trine to Chiron and in trine to Black Moon Lilith. So at the time of the new moon, we can see there's this grand trine that's formed with Venus and Ceres, who are in Ophiuchus. Black Moon Lilith, who is in Leo, and Chiron and the North Node in Pisces. So this energy that is being created by Venus and Ceres and Black Moon Lilith and Chiron and the North Node is a really healing energy. And it's the Venusian energy of love that is flowing through this whole cycle. And that is going to really serve us to be vulnerable with our hearts, it's like Chiron and trine Venus is really about sharing vulnerably like our real like deep wounds and fears, Black Moon Lilith, around our power and our sensuality and our creativity and being seen. And Venus and Ceres together is so nurturing and caring and wanting to really take care and nurture ourselves and love ourselves. So with the energy of Ophiuchus here, this is really about transformation and rebirth for Venus too. She's going through the galactic center. So her being with Ceres at this time and in trine to Chiron and Black Moon Lilith, it's like she is going through the galactic center now with this healing, and with a healing of her shadows in trine to Black Moon Lilith. Black Moon Lilith is connected to her shadows, and the last time she met with Mars, she was in Leo, so there's a connection here between her shadows that may be connected to her connection to the masculine. When she comes through the galactic center, she will journey through Sagittarius, and then she will come to meet with Mars again in Capricorn. Capricorn. So what I'm feeling is the feminine energy is going through her yearly rebirth through the galactic center, and she has Ceres with her, so it's really about taking care of herself, all the things she values, and allowing herself to heal, with the energy of Lilith in Leo. It feels all to do with her creativity, her fire, her Shakti, and how she can be seen in the world, so when she comes together with Mars again, it's going to be a real reunion time, which was actually going to fall on the 22nd of the 2nd, which is 222. So the new moon is happening on the 11th of the 1st, 111. So the numerology is really beautiful as well. So yeah, I really feel like the Venus energy is really strong in this new cycle that we're going into. So really feeling like, because when Venus was in her Cazimi with the sun, which is when the sun and Venus came together, that's her star point, it was in early Leo, so now as she's going through the galactic center, she's gone through her retrograde, which went back to Ashleisha. She went home to herself, home to her feelings. She returned to source, ocean, creation, the great cosmic turtle, which is also the Cancer energy, which is where our full moon will be. So she went back on her retrograde to Ashleisha, to the turtle, to the scarab, to the ocean, to the mother. And then she's coming forward. And then so she is meeting now, as she's about to go through the galactic center, she's meeting with all of her fears that she, when she had her Cazimi with the sun back in August in Leo, she's now really looking at all of the things that she was scared of, or in bringing her creation out into the world, and her sexuality and her sensuality, and she's bringing wisdom and growth and healing to that part of her, the Leo, Venusian Leo, so when she meets with Mars again in Capricorn, her Cazimi was with Leo. Her Cazimi, which is her rebirth of the sun, is Leo. And now she's going over the galactic center. It's like she has a galactic reset. And at that time, she's in trine to Leo, Lilith, her darkness and her shadows. And she's now coming in to integrate all of that and heal Chiron, North Node, Eris, healing the darkness of herself and her shadows and her fears. So she can come into reunion with Mars in February in a really powerful way. It's going to be her Shakti fire, and she's going to be connected to Sekhmet and the lioness goddess, and really feeling her power to lead and to express herself creatively and channel her creative gifts and power into the world. Mars's journey, he had his Cazimi in November in Libra. So he met with the sun in Libra in November. And so he had his rebirth in the stars of Venus, because Venus rules Libra. So in a way, Mars was going back to like Venus in her frequency. So he's had a balancing. Mars has had a balancing around, all of the Libran things. So he may be able to see things from a different perspective. He may be able to see different sides of the story. He's been balancing his heart, with the Libran Cazimi. He's crossed over the galactic center. He's on the other side of the gate, so he's already at 8 degrees of Sagittarius now. She's at 7 degrees of Ophiuchus. So their reunion is happening, and they've both been transformed in a really deep way, and they're going to unite again in Capricorn, which is where Pluto is moving into. So if you think of it that way, it's like as Pluto is taking his journey into Capricorn, what he sees is the union of Venus and Mars. So the focal point for the next 19 years is the energy of Venus and Mars united together in Capricorn after their huge transformation and shifts and their cazemis. And it's coming into a new cycle of love, of balance, of union. And I keep feeling like these two kind of like, I keep putting my hands in this like the two hemispheres coming together, and the two parts of our brain, you know, our creativity and our logic, and how we can like come into union in ourselves. I think that is the real work of now for all of us, to really find the ways that we can unify the different aspects of ourselves, the conflict inside of us. How can we really embrace the darkness inside of us to heal and come into more union? You know, it's been really reflected in my partnership recently. It's like the parts in us where we disagree, where we find conflict. And I realize he's reflecting into me the ways I'm not in harmony in myself. So if we're having a conflict or a disagreement, if I'm really honest with myself and bring it back to myself, I can see the conflict is coming because I'm not in harmony with that in myself. So the work that I've been doing is to say to the different parts of myself, you know, okay, so you think of it this way, this part of me, it's like my head thinks one thing and my body thinks another thing, or my head has one idea about, my brain has one idea about things, and my soul is like, but hold on, look at the bigger picture, you know. So it's like uniting forces in myself, you know, and that feels incredibly powerful to be doing that, because I notice in my partner, when we have the conflict, when we have the disagreements, and we soften and we love those parts of ourselves, and we say, okay, we disagree here, we see this differently, how can we still be in union when we feel differently about something? And I have come to acceptance that some things are different, you know, like I love coffee, my partner loves tea, you know, I love cats, he loves dogs. And it's in that difference, like, how can we find, like, the light and the dark need each other, you know? It's like you can't have light without dark, you can't have day without night, you can't have, you know, you can't live a life without falling asleep and going into the dream, you know. You need to have both to be in balance in ourselves, you know. So I really feel like this whole cycle, you know, with the Pisces and Virgo energy of the nodes, you know, the Virgo energy is very logical, very kind of orientated on details and plans, and the Pisces energy is just all about creativity. It's so like dreamy. It's like anything could happen, right? It's like this ocean of oneness, of love. And so these two energies, which Pluto is T-squaring, you know, it's really taking us into this energy of like transforming our relationship to these parts of ourselves, you know, that we can be creative and we can be logical, and it's the sides of our brain as well, you know, like the parts of us that are more creative and receptive, and the parts of us that are more logical and organized and can make a plan and things. They need to be in harmony, you know, because if we're just creative all the time, you know, it's like it's never gonna get anywhere. We'll just sit there doing paintings all day, which is lovely, right? The Virgo energy will get it out in the world, you know. It will get maybe some abundance coming in for it. It'll make a plan, get it on the internet, you know. Maybe make having oh my god, my brain, an exhibition with the art. There you go, it came. So also Jupiter is in square to the new moon, and so the new moon, which is in Sagittarius, Jupiter is the ruler of Sagittarius. So There is a challenge from Jupiter this cycle. The challenge is to grow, or maybe the challenge is of not doing too much, or over emphasizing things, or yeah, the exaggeration. So we may feel the tests of Jupiter this month could be in that something to do with our expansion and our growth. When you think of the season that we're in the north, it could be about, doing too much too soon, or it could feel like a really risky energy, like we're pushing too hard. And also Jupiter is connected to our beliefs and our spirituality. So there could be real kind of things coming up around our beliefs and spiritual truths and visions. There could be like this energy of like having to move through something spiritually to grow into a new kind of layer of ourselves. We've also got Uranus, which is in trine to the new moon as well. So there is like, it could bring like this energy of real kind of unexpected twists that we may be having, like something that we just didn't see coming, like that's something out the box, but actually that may help us to transform, and it may help us to really find this deep healing of the dark and the shadows that Venus is really anchoring in for us this cycle. Saturn is on royal star Fomalhaut, which is the the royal star of the south, which is in the southern fish. So the energy of Saturn has got a real strong influence of this cycle as well. It's like the overseer. It's like Fomalhaut is like, he wants to know, like, whatever you're doing, whatever you're growing, whatever you're trying to achieve, whatever you're working towards, whatever your intention is and that you're transforming, the Fomalhaut energy and the Aquarian energy is like, but does it work for everyone? Is it going to help the collective? Is it just a selfish thing that you're doing for money or for yourself? Or is this going to really benefit the collective? So Fomalhaut can be, it can bring ultimate downfall, if you're not working for the highest good of everyone, So there's a really strong energy with Saturn on Fomalhaut now that it's all about integrity. It's about doing the things that you really believe in, that are really humanitarian projects as well. Like if you're working towards things that are really going to help enable change within the collective, that is going to make a difference in this world. It's like calling to integrity and justice, but make sure our intentions are really like aligned with the cosmic order, I guess, like how we can be working with like our best work for the collective. It's like Saturn on Fomalhaut is like all about work and responsibility. We've got a responsibility collectively, to make sure that what we're doing is in alignment, with what is kind of like, if it's not in alignment with the best good for all, or if it's got any kind of like egotistical kind of underlay, we could fall flat on our face. We could lose it all. So this is a real kind of energy of like the Lord of Time, is like, is saying, whatever you're doing, are you, really planning ahead for the next 7 years? Is it what's it gonna unfold, and what's it gonna do for our children and our children's children? And how can we really put in plans now for the community, for the groups, for social things that are going to really like ripple out for years to come? So lots of big stuff to be working through this cycle. And this is where we're beginning. The new moon is the new cycle, the new seed of the cycle. So our first quarter moon will be in Pisces, which will be, you know, close to the North Node, Chiron, Eris. So that's very watery. And as I was saying around, you know, how we can really, because that's also in trine to Black Moon Lilith as well, who's in Cancer. She's moving between Cancer and Leo at the moment. No, so she's dancing around the head of Ashleisha and the energy of the fire and the water. So Black Moon Lilith is really activating some alchemy here for us. And yes, and of course, you know, in this beautiful trine that's happening with Venus and Ceres will be with the moon around the time of the first quarter moon. So this is the building of the cycle. So we're really building with Venus, actually. Like we're really allowing deep healing of our hearts and nurturing ourselves, taking care of ourselves. Venus is with Ceres, dwarf planet, you know, all connected to mothering and nurturing and support. You know, so there could be a lot coming up this cycle as we're moving into the building of the cycle, you know, that we are really needing to take care of ourselves. And in taking care of ourselves, taking care of the community, we are really allowing ourselves to heal in a really deep level. The full moon is in Cancer, which I'm not going to go into now because, you know, it's just such a, I'll do another recording on that, hopefully. Yeah, so yeah, I think this might be enough for today. I'm going to just show you the full moon in Cancer here at 6 degrees. And I noticed that then Black Moon Lilith is back over in Leo and is in this amazing trine with Mars and Mercury and Uranus. It's like, wow, powerful full moon coming up, which is opposing Pluto and the Sun, who's at 0 degrees of Capricorn. Like, wow, that definitely needs a whole other video. Not going to go into that now, but yeah, I wanted to show you just quickly before we go, like, so the 22nd of the 2nd, 222, very Venusian number. The 22 is the number of Mary Magdalene, divine union codes. Some of you may be aware of that. But anyway, look, Mars and Venus are together in Capricorn. And when her and Mars were together last June over in Cancer, there was a full moon in Capricorn, you know, so they was in union together, you know, back in the summer of last year, and they're coming back in union again just as Pluto is shifting into Capricorn and T-squaring the nodal axis. Like, wow. So Venus and Mars together, it's all about divine union. On the 222, it's wow, it's a frequency of love, you know. So this is coming into the next cycle now, which will be the new moon in Capricorn. So yeah, this whole cycle, it feels there's a lot of stuff moving with Venus now as she's crossing the galactic center in preparation to come back into union next cycle. So all of the stuff that's coming up now is really connected to the divine feminine and healing, like the darkness and the shadows and parts of us that we really need to integrate so we can come back into harmony with the masculine in the next cycle. Yes. I'm going to stop sharing the screen now. I'm really hoping some of that was useful for you all. And yeah, it's good to be back. I'm still taking a wintry kind of break and not doing too much this winter time. In preparation for an amazing budding and coming up in the spring. So yeah, if you love it, please share and subscribe. And yeah, lovely to see you. And I'll see you on the full moon in a few weeks. Lots of love.